We all know change is coming to college sports, and that includes the West Virginia Mountaineer Athletic Department. In this episode, I'm going to talk about some major changes that could be coming, per Athletic Director Wren Baker, and one that I've not heard as many people talking about, and that is the fact that you could own a piece of the West Virginia Mountaineers. Would you like to be an owner of the West Virginia Mountaineers? Pretty intriguing, huh? Let's talk about that in this episode, and let's do it right after this. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf content around West Virginia Mountaineer sports. Wren Baker was recently on an episode of Three Guys Before the Game. They asked him a lot of questions about the state of college sports, the future of college sports, the House versus NCAA settlement agreement, Golden Blue Enterprises, which was just announced, which at the end of this video, I'm going to link to a previous video I did talking about Golden Blue Enterprises and that starting up at WVU. But in that interview, there were some really interesting nuggets, some details that Wren Baker gave out that I find very intriguing. And I wanted to bring to some of you who may have missed that episode and also give you my opinion on some of it, even if you did see the episode of Three Guys. I want to talk about some of this. And one of the most intriguing pieces was the fact that they might actually consider selling off pieces of the athletic department to the general public. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, let's talk about a little bit of the details. And I'm not going to go into the weeds here, but some of the things Wren Baker talked about, premium seating. They're in the process now of trying to get the funding to build more premium seating at Milan Puskar Stadium. Right now, West Virginia does not have enough premium seating, not as much as their peer institutions. They're leaving a lot of money on the table by not having that. They're in the process of trying to do that. They're in the process of looking at getting more funding from the university. The university is going to chip in apparently some more help to the athletic department. West Virginia University is subsidizing the athletic department at a much lower rate than most of the other peer institutions in the Big 12. He says the average in the Big 12 is about $40 million a year in help. West Virginia is less than 25% of that. If you go to Sportico and other sites, it's about 8%. West Virginia funds about 8% of the athletic department. Much, much lower than their peers in the Big 12. There's naming rights opportunities on being talked about. But they're looking to sell the naming rights to both the Coliseum and to the stadium and or Mountaineer Field. So this is something I want to spend a minute on. Because later in the interview, they asked him a question about, some Mountaineer fans may not like some of these changes that are happening. We've already seen the announcement that they're going to have a student fees attached to tuition for any student attending WVU, in Morgantown. That's going to rub some people the wrong way, right? Especially people who don't care about sports, who aren't sports fans. But he emphasized the importance of sports to not only WVU, but all schools. I mean, it's important for your enrollment. It's important for, bringing, attention to your school, even to the state as a whole, right? It's very important. Athletics is important. It's the front porch university. And he talked about that. So, but he talked about how, in this day and age, it's critical to increase revenue whenever possible. And you cannot forego opportunities to do that, even if it might rub some people the wrong way. Some people may not like seeing logos on the field when they're watching the game. But we've got to get over that stuff. Some people may not like a logo being on the basketball court. Some people want to see it named Bob Huggins Court. It's likely not going to get Bob Huggins, unless Bob Huggins is the one who steps up and pays the millions of dollars to make it happen. It's likely not going to be called Bob Huggins Court either. Unless whoever pays the bills says, hey, we want to name it Bob Huggins Court, then maybe they will. But nonetheless, you see my point. Wren Baker said they're working right now on a 7-figure deal, or naming rights deal, that will be announced very soon to either the Coliseum or Mountaineer Field. So That's money they can't pass up. They need that money to go towards revenue sharing, to go towards upgrading the facilities, building a new press box, which is part of that premium seating deal. All of that has to be done. You have to retain players. You have to retain coaching staff. All of that takes money. So us as fans, we have got to be prepared for change, because whether we like it or not, change is here and change is coming. Even more change is coming. It may be uncomfortable for some of us. I don't have an issue with it because I understand the importance of all this. But there are some fans out there who don't like to see ads and all that. The traditionalists, I'll call them the traditionalists. And I'm not saying it's wrong to feel that way. But if you want to continue cheering for the West Virginia Mountaineers, you're going to have to prepare yourself for change, because it's coming, because it's a necessity. Because I'm assuming all of you who have issue with those kind of things also like to win. And if you want to win, then you have to compete financially. In order to compete financially, you have to change, and it means you have to bring in outside entities like more advertisers, potentially at some point down the road, even private equity or private capital firms, those types of things, right? And as part of that change, there's even more ways potentially coming. Now, this is just an idea Wren threw out. This is nothing imminent, but we could actually, as fans, have the opportunity at some point down the road to actually own a piece of WVU sports. Couz, what are you talking about? I know that's what some of you are asking. I'm going to play a very short clip from Wren's appearance on Three Guys, and then I'm going to talk about it and give you a little bit more insight into what this might mean for WVU sports and for us as fans. Let's go ahead and play this clip, and then I'll talk about it.
But I think we need the freedom and flexibility to swim in those waters and swim in them quickly when it makes sense for us to do it, and to grow our commercial business. Having an outside entity, does that open up a Green Bay Packers ownership kind of concept at some point where, the general public, they don't get a say, they don't take dividends, but they can consider themselves to be a shareholder at a certain value. And so
a Green Bay Packers type scenario. So how would you, if you're watching this, how would you like to be a part owner of West Virginia sports? That's what he's proposing here. It's something down the road. Look, the Green Bay Packers right now are the only NFL team, might even be the only professional team in any sport, but I know they're the only one in the NFL that is actually not owned by an individual or a small group of individuals. They're actually owned by the public. Now, that's actually not allowed per NFL rules now, but the Packers got grandfathered in to the new rules, so they allowed it. They made an exception for them. Now, these individual shareholders do get voting privileges. Look, like Wren said, they don't get dividends. They don't get a say in what happens with the organization. But they do, and they don't even get, according to what I researched on the Packers, they don't even get, preferential treatment when it comes to season tickets and whatnot. But what they do get is voting privileges. They get to vote on the members that make up the board of directors. So if this private entity, Golden Blue Enterprises, that was started, which is a private entity that the athletic department started, which, again, I talked about in a video, to where they can basically run the athletic department like a business. The way I could see this working is West Virginia sells shares of this ownership or this Golden Blue Enterprises, whatever, they sell shares of that to the public, and those people can vote on who the board of directors is for Golden Blue Enterprises. And they might even have voting rights in other issues. And, and from that, they'll probably pick a CEO or a COO, those types of things, right? That is something I find very intriguing. As someone who roots for the Mountaineers, who wants to support them all I can, it's something I could potentially get behind. Obviously, it would depend on the cost. And yes, I would want to have some type of perks. Maybe, being kept abreast of everything that's going on. Obviously, the voting privileges, all that would matter. Hopefully, they could throw in a few other things too that would be to go along with that. I personally think, there should be some, I don't know, parking privileges or seating or something, even if it's something small that should come along with that. But that being said, I do find, and I think a fan base like Mountaineer fans, like West Virginia fans, could potentially get behind something like this. And I think a lot of those fans who are traditionalists might even have a harder or a less harder time accepting something like this, or an easier time accepting something like this than let's say, private equity or private capital firm coming in to, to control part of the athletic department. Maybe this is something, this is obviously something when you notice Wren's facial expressions, his body language when he talked about that. It's definitely something that's been on his mind a while. It's definitely something that he's not just floating out as an idea. It's something he's thought about, probably even talked to a lot of people about, and maybe even something that's being discussed behind the scenes as that we could hear announced at some point in the future. Who knows? Nothing is imminent, obviously, but I find that very intriguing that you could actually own a piece of WVU sports. I find that intriguing. I like the idea. I don't hate it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Well, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think that would work at a school like West Virginia? We don't have it's the Green Bay Packers, they might be the smallest market in the NFL, but the fan passion they have has kept them going and made them, heck, they've even won Super Bowls. It's kept them competitive. It's one of the most storied programs in the NFL. West Virginia, to me, kind of fits the mold of a Green Bay Packer type team at the university level, at the college level. Very passionate fan base, smaller market than a lot of their peers. Maybe less people, but those people are extremely passionate, and those people are willing to help where they can. And you don't even have to be wealthy to do it. You might be able to buy a share of the stock for $100, $200, whatever number they come up with. I'm just throwing those out. But you might be able to be a part owner of the Western Mountaineer Athletic Department for just a couple $100 or something. I mean, that's pretty intriguing to me. It's something I would definitely consider. But I want to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on this video. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. I forgot to update my paid VIP channel members for this episode, so I'm just going to give a shout out to the ones that are on the screen now. They are Shannon Miller, CEO of The Sofa, Tanner Tracks Premier, and Bourbon Crazy. I thank them all for supporting the show. Thank you. If you're a paid VIP member, also thank you for supporting the show. And even if you're not, you can become one. Hit that join button below. If you don't see that join button below, over at my channel homepage on YouTube, right beside my profile photo, you'll see a button that says join. You hit it. It explains everything you need to know about it. There are 2 levels. It lets you know what's offered with those 2 levels. And it's also a very easy and inexpensive way to support what I do here on the show. And it helps me keep the lights on. Speaking of keeping the lights on, thanks to the 2 sponsors in the corners. Obviously, I mentioned Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner earlier in the show. Also want to give a shout out to Appalachia Digital. They are the folks who designed the new website over at wvsportschat.com. So if you want to design a new website, or if you want to help your site get found more on Google or easier on Google, go to appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you, and they will take care of your needs. And they'll do a great job just like they did on my site, or our site, I should say, over at wvsportschat.com. Shout out to Jonathan Martin, who's helping me run that site over there. Thank you for watching. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 10,000. Please share this with your family and friends who may enjoy West Virginia Mountaineer sports. I appreciate you tuning into the show. Hope the rest of your day or evening or night or whenever you're watching this is top shelf. God bless. And cue country roads. Oh, and happy birthday, West Virginia.